Hi guys! Welcome back to my channel. Bienvenidos otra vez a mi canal. I am so excited to finally be recording this video for you guys. Obviously, we wanted to tell you the news from day one, but for obvious reasons, we decided to keep it to ourselves for a couple of weeks. But I'm just gonna dive into it. A lot of you asked me your questions about this pregnancy, so I'm gonna start answering them. The question I got a lot was, how did I find out I was pregnant? We had been in the talks that we were gonna start trying, and with Enzo, it really happened really fast. So obviously when I started trying, I was taking a test. It was 2 days before I was supposed to get my period. I took a test, one of those like early detection tests, and it actually tested negative. I actually got a little discouraged when I did that test. You know, I was like, oh well, next month it's fine. Like, we just started trying, it's okay. It wasn't until 2 days later that it was my period. Like, no, like I think I am pregnant. Like, I had this feeling that I was like, you know, my boobs hurt, I'm going pee all the time. So I took it again and I got a positive. So I'll show you the reaction. It was like at 7 a.m. I was in my PJs. I wasn't like recording this thinking I was, I don't know, like I just did it in the moment, and that's why I look like that. So I'll leave it here. So a follower of mine asked me if, you know, she was like, this is TMI, but did you have any implantation bleeding? This is something I wanted to talk to you guys about because I feel like you can't really get decent information out there, and Google is not your best friend, especially during pregnancy. Obviously, you should always consult your doctor before, and that's like the person you should call. So I didn't experience any implantation bleeding, but I did start bleeding around week 9. So I started bleeding to the point where I was going to the restroom and I was wiping myself, and I could see, you know, some blood on the paper, but nothing really that would cover like a panty liner or anything like that. But I did bleed for about a week. So that week was really hard for me just because there's a lot of unknown. You know, I called my doctor and my doctor's like, as long as you don't have like heavy bleeding, you should be okay. But seeing blood is never like easy. I really had a very rough week. Just kind of like every moment I was like, okay, like, am I having a miscarriage? Like, is this gonna happen? But I wanted to also mention that like the bleeding that I had was more of a darker blood, which usually they say is because it's been in your system for a while and your body's just kind of letting go of it. Again, it was only when I was like wiping, it wasn't on a pad. But still, you know, I was like, why is this happening? And I never bled with Enzo. Like I never had this experience. I really just left it up to God. And I was like, listen, like if I'm gonna have a miscarriage, it's gonna happen. It's out of my control. There's nothing I can do. So I'm just gonna stop thinking about it. And funny enough, that day I started bleeding red, like bright red. And as you can imagine, I started crying. I started imagining the worst. It was really hard. It was really hard for me. So I can't even imagine what it is to go through a miscarriage. You know, even though I've never been through one, I definitely have like a newfound respect for women that go through it. The point is, I started bleeding red and I called my doctor immediately, and you know, he was like, listen, like as long as it's not a lot, don't worry about it. You should be okay. But if you feel like you can't sleep or you're very anxious, you could always go to the ER, because it was like 8 o'clock at night. He was like, you can go to the hospital and just double check. I spoke to Hector and he was like, honestly, let's just wait it out. You know, let's, you know, sleep it off, and then in the morning we'll see. The next morning I woke up, no bleeding, and I didn't bleed for weeks and weeks. Now, I have had some bleeding after that, but it hasn't been bright red. It's been like very, very like slant, like really just like, again, only when I go to the restroom, nothing on like my panty liner. And my doctor says that, you know, they just can't explain it. Like sometimes, obviously sometimes you have an explanation, but I look good, like my cervix look good, everything looks fine. So it's just kind of like, an unknown. So Hector's reaction, everybody wants to see Hector's reaction. I honestly have to get his permission first because it's not very word appropriate. He started like saying some things. Obviously he was super happy. As you all know, Hector is very private when it comes to social media. So when I found out I was pregnant, I found out like around, I don't know, it was like 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. I didn't want to wait to get like a present, or we're not like that. Like I just tell him like right away. So I got one of Enzo's like old t-shirts and I wrote on it like Big Brother. And I'll show you a video. It was just like, honestly, it was so bad because it was like with a Sharpie and I just wrote like Big Brother. And I think Hector noticed that I was recording him. So it obviously changed a lot of his reaction. But basically when I told him I was pregnant, he was like, I told you you were pregnant, because with Enzo, you know, it literally hit on the first month. And with this one, it did as well. I mean, we're extremely lucky, and I don't like to talk about, because that's the number one question. Everyone's like, how long did it take you to conceive? And to be honest, we feel very, very grateful that we're able to conceive so quickly, especially, you know, having friends and family going through IVF and all of that. So we feel incredibly blessed, but obviously in that moment with so much emotion and so much like, you know, we were like stressed but happy, but all of that, he was like, I told you it was gonna hit on the first one, because he wanted to wait a little bit longer. But I was like, no, we're not waiting. Like, your son is gonna be 4 soon. Like, there's no way. We need to start, you know, trying. Throughout that day, it kind of sunk in, and he was just like the sweetest. Like, he would hug me and he was like, oh my God, you're pregnant again. And he's like, oh my God, the baby. And he would like start rubbing my belly, which obviously at that point was like non-existent. But he was like, oh, we're gonna have another baby. And we were just so excited, you know. What's the next one? How many weeks are you? So I am going on to my 15th week. The baby is right now the size of a pear. And I'm definitely feeling so much better. You know, the other question that I get a lot is that if I got nausea, morning sickness and all of that, and all of the above. Actually started getting nausea very early on. I started around week 5 or 6, just feeling a lot of like food aversions, not being able to eat a lot. But I would say my nausea got really bad about like week 7 up to week 11. Had nausea nonstop from the moment I woke up to in the afternoons. And in the afternoons, it would actually get worse. And as for vomiting, like I probably vomited like a couple of times, but it wasn't like a nonstop thing. But it was pretty bad. Like I was actually like kind of depressed, because it was just like, I couldn't be a good mom to Enzo. I was literally just like on the sofa feeling like shit. Like I couldn't do anything. Luckily, I am on week 14 going on week 15, and I'm feeling so much better now. My energy is back. You know, it's true what they say about second trimester. It's like the honeymoon phase of pregnancy. And last but not least, I'm gonna answer this question. A lot of you have been asking me about my workout and my eating routines. And the reality is that I was very, very active before getting pregnant. I was working out about 6 times a day. I was doing the Sophia method, and I was running about 5 miles every 2-3 days a week. So I was extremely, extremely active. Okay, they finally stopped doing whatever they were doing. I was able to keep working out until like week 6 or week 7. But after I started noticing that my nausea would just get really, really bad, to the point where I would vomit, just feeling so sick, that I decided to, you know, take it as a sign that my body was telling me to slow down. So I didn't really work out until probably this week. So I'm on week 14. So it's been a minute. Now that I feel much better, I'm gonna start working out again. And I'm gonna try to do more of walking uphill on a treadmill, just because also it gets so hot in Miami that unless I wake up like super early to run, I just get like so hot. And then obviously I can still do TSM. The Sophia method offers a lot of like prenatal workouts. So I'm excited to start doing that again. And that's it. I think this is probably one of the longer YouTube videos, but I hope you guys enjoyed kind of my recap, sharing with you all of this. And let me know if I missed something, if you guys want to know more about something I talked about. And I'm just so happy to be able to share this pregnancy journey with all of you guys. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye.